Can Federal's 380 Hydra-Shok DEEP survive our Frost Giant Extreme Gel test? We're going to find out today. Hi everybody, welcome back to the LocaCarnivore. We're glad you could be here. Remember, we're the hunting, guns, and adventure channel for smart people. And you're smart because you're watching us. Today we're going to show you the extreme gel test that we did on Federal's 380 Hydra-Shok DEEP. It's a 99 grain bullet. And we put it up against our exclusive Frost Giant gel test, just to see what would happen and see if this would be a good carry load for wintertime. Hey, we've got great stuff throughout this video for you, so make sure you stay to the end of it. Alrighty, we'll look at the package for Federal's 380 Hydra-Shok DEEP load. As you can see, it says Hydra-Shok DEEP, 99 grain bullet. I want to show this to you so that you know that Hydra-Shok is a real Federal brand. I had a couple of individuals who suffer from Dunning-Kruger syndrome call me out in comments on another video saying, hey, there's no such thing as a Hydra-Shok anymore. It doesn't exist. That was in the 1970s, 1980s. And I just wanted to show you the package. This is a Federal brand. They still make regular Hydra-Shok and they make the new Hydra-Shok DEEP. And you really have to forgive those people that made those comments because, well, they've just discovered opposable thumbs and they're feeling overconfident. Don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you'll get notified of every video that we have coming out. Okay, so here's a quick look at the Hydra-Shok DEEP. This is the 380 99 grain bullet. You can see how Federal has modified the center post. It's now a cone instead of just a straight post. And they put some extreme grooves or folds in the nose of the bullet in the jacket to aid the expansion. And Federal says that this bullet will meet or exceed actually the FBI's minimum gel penetration requirements. This is 12 inches. And we're going to see how it did against extreme winter clothing. And they also say that this new post design is supposed to eliminate the problem of the old Hydra-Shok would load up with material from clothing and not always expand. So that's supposed to fix that problem. Plus you get nice nickel case for improved feeding, reliable feeding. So there's the bullet. Hey, right now, LocaCarnivore Project has only one source of funding, and that is you, our viewers. So if you wouldn't mind, go down to the Patreon there. The link's in the description. Give us some support. You'll get some neat stuff in return, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Test gun for today's gel test is a Glock G42 in 380 with a 3 1/4 inch barrel. Stats on Federal's 380 Hydra-Shok DEEP. First of all, like we said, it's a 99 grain bullet. Advertised velocity on this is 975 feet per second, which equates to 209 foot-pounds of energy. Give you a relative mark. That's about equivalent to a standard pressure 38 special out of a 2-inch barrel. A 9mm, most 9mm standard pressure rounds are in about the 375 to 425 foot-pounds of energy. 10mm is anywhere from 500 to 700 foot-pounds. So that gives you an idea of where the 380 fits into the food chain on defensive handgun calibers. Why are we bothering to put a 380 of any type up against our Frost Giant extreme gel test? Well, basically, a lot of people carry 380s, and it's a very common backup gun. It's a very common EDC gun for a lot of people. And if you're carrying it in winter in the North Country where people wear heavy clothing, you need to know if your ammunition is going to be reliable, and you can depend on it in a self-defense situation. Now, based on the energy and the velocity, 380 is it's a marginal cartridge to begin with for self-defense. It always has been. It's problematic in that full metal jacket tends to be a little over-penetrative, although we are going to test full metal jacket against the Frost Giant to see just how it performs. Is it really too over-penetrative in a defensive scenario, or does it give you enough penetration against heavy clothing and against a large statured individual? We're going to find that out. So stay tuned. Make sure you keep an eye out to see when that video comes out. As we said, 380 is problematic. Hollow points in 380 are notorious for underpenetrating. That's why Federal came out with the Hydra-Shok DEEP in 380. They wanted to develop a round, so they said that would give you at least the minimum FBI required 12 inches of penetration in their FBI standard tests. So you've got, you can go look those up. There's various tests. Now we did find a big flaw with those tests, And we have a video on that and how we fixed it with our Frost Giant. Links down in the description, so make sure you go check that one out too. So what is a Frost Giant, our extreme gel test? Well, a quick recap for you. A quick recap for those of you who are new to the channel or haven't seen any of our gel test videos yet. It simulates a cross-torso shot against a large-statured individual, someone who's well above 6'3", 6'4", in that range, and they are wearing heavy, proper winter clothing. We developed a clothing package which we feel is an accurate analog, something you would expect people to be wearing in cold weather, in actual cold weather, below freezing. Now we have a video on all that, so you can geek out on to your heart's content. The link's down in the description. Go check it out. We encourage you to do that. And why the cross-torso shot, the cross-body shot? That's the nightmare shot that occurred in the infamous 1986 shootout between FBI agents and some armed bank robbery suspects. And ever since that happened, the FBI has been haunted by that, and they've tried to get rounds that will deal with that cross-torso shot. Because in real-life gunfights, you never know what angle your assailant might be to. They might be all the way, shooting at you like this. They might have a long gun shooting at you like this, which was the scenario in Miami, where the round went through the guy's arm and then into his chest, but it did not penetrate quite enough to put that person down right away. Now, the big thing that we wanted to make sure with that cross-torso shot analog, our Frost Giant, is to make sure that there was clothing on the outside of the sleeve, simulates the outside garments on the outside of the arm, inside the arm, and then on the torso. So it's not enough, in our opinion, for you to just put some clothing on the front end of a ballistic gel block and call it good, because that's not real in that cross-torso shot. You've got clothing on the outside of the arm, clothing on the inside of the arm, and then the clothing on the torso, which most likely is all the same stuff. All right, we're moving over to 380, and right now we're going to test the Federal Hydra-Shok DEEP 99 grain load for the 380. This is supposed to be the bomb from what I hear. Everybody is really raving on this on their tests. We'll see how it does against the Frost Giant. Ignore these others. These were 10mm tests. I've moved the arm block over so that we will not duplicate or track over any of the temporary cavities from that. And then we're going the opposite direction, so hopefully we won't hit any other bullets from the 10mm test. All right, so here we go. The little 380. See how it does against the Frost Giant. Feeding was good. Hey, if you'd like more content, make sure you go over to our website. The link's down below. And while you're at it, go to our store and pick up some LocaCarnivore branded merchandise. We'd appreciate that too. All right, we brought those gel blocks inside so you can get a little bit better look at the temporary and permanent cavities. We have them indoors here at the award-winning LocaCarnivore Laboratories located at the sprawling LocaCarnivore headquarters complex. So the cloth pack on the outside, this is your entrance area here, and then they would have traveled through. I removed the cloth packs from between the blocks, and then we travel on through. And then right here we have the 99 grain Federal Hydra-Shok DEEP. Continuing on with the 380s. This bullet here, you have to ignore. That's a 10mm from a different test. So right here we have the Hydra-Shok DEEP, the 99 grain Hydra-Shok DEEP, and you can see that once it cleared the secondary cloth packs, it just went into expanded diameter. The bullet, obviously this disruption is indicative the bullet turned either sideways or maybe completely around. And of course, according to Clear Ballistics, people who made the gel, you cannot count any of the bounce back. These bullets all experience a certain amount of bounce back, so you only measure for penetration where the bullet comes to rest. So this is the 99 grain Hydra-Shok. Alright, now we got the 99 grain Federal Hydra-Shok DEEP 380. out of the gel, and you can see what it did. There's the new and improved conical center post that Federal engineered off the original Hydra-Shok. Had just a narrow lead post. This has got more, it's got a cone now in the center, and that does an excellent job of making sure the bullet expands even when it hits intermediate material, especially like cloth and stuff. And we've had really good luck. All the Hydra-Shok Deeps that we've tested to this point have looked exactly like this, regardless of caliber. Excellent expansion, nice peel back, maybe a little too much peel back for temporary cavity purposes, but it does aid the penetration. What do you think about Federal's 380 Hydra-Shok Deep? Is it any good? Have you used it? Well, go down in the comments and let us know. We'd really appreciate it. You saw what happened during the gel test, and then you saw the bullet that we recovered. So let's talk about that just a little bit. First of all, what were the numbers that were generated? Well, total penetration through the arm block and the torso block was 11.25 inches. We're going to put a graphic on at the end of this video, so if you don't remember what I'm blathering, you can go take a look at that, geek out on that, and freeze it up all you want. Now, the arm block, if you will, is 6 inches wide, and then the torso block is 16 inches long block, as you saw on the quick photo, that the screen grab that I showed you, so you can see what the gel test rig looks like. The torso block penetration by this 99 grain Hydra-Shok Deep 380 was only 4 inches. Now, in order to get a passing grade in this test, you have to get 12 inches of penetration, or we'd like to see really close to it. You know, we'll give you a little leeway on inch and a half short or whatever, because that's still pretty good. But the reason for 12 inches is that a person's chest cavity, a large person's chest cavity, is between about 22 and 24 inches wide at the armpits. And that's what we're simulating here, is a cross torso shot. So the math would say that half of that, to hit the middle of the chest, to find the heart, is 12 inches. That's why we want 12 inches. Now, the Hydra-Shok Deep only went in 4 inches, so that's way short. So in that kind of penetration, with that kind of presentation of an assailant, you would have probably an ineffectual wound. It would not probably do very much to incapacitate that person quickly. Now, the 99 grain Hydra-Shok Deep 380 generated a temporary wound cavity in the arm block 4.5 inches long by 0.625, in other words, just a little over a ½ inch wide. And that's pretty par for the course for 38 Special and 380 as far as their initial wound cavity when they start expanding. The expansion was quite good, as you saw with the bullet, and it did make a slight temporary cavity in the torso block. That's unusual. Most of the time we find most rounds, with some exceptions, notable exceptions, will not have enough energy to continue disrupting the tissue beyond just the width of the expanded bullet as it goes into that torso block. Now, this did generate a small temporary cavity in the torso block, 2 inches long and 1 inch wide, which that's basically twice the diameter of the arm block temporary cavity. So what happened? Well, when we looked at the bullet in the gel, it was quite obvious the bullet had tumbled. So it wasn't that it had a bunch of extra energy after it cleared that interior cloth pack and then got into the torso block. It just started to tumble. It became unstable. So it tumbled, and that created a very small temporary cavity. And that probably contributed to the lack of overall penetration in the torso block. If it hadn't tumbled and hadn't increased its drag exponentially in the material, it might have gotten in maybe another inch, 2 inches, who knows. But the fact is, it did tumble in our test, and it penetrated far short. Hey, make sure you share this video. Let's get this thing all the way around the world, shall we? So we had good expansion, but not enough penetration in a heavy winter clothing scenario against a large individual with a cross-torso shot. So overall, what do we think about the 380 Hydra-Shok Deep from Federal, the 99 grain load? Well, for winter carry, in our opinion, the cartridge is basically a failure. As you saw in the gel test, it just doesn't have the penetration. If you had a frontal presentation, it would probably do a decent job. You might get to that 12 inches, you might not. I still think it hasn't solved the problem. Everybody wants to think this round has solved the problem of 380 defensive loads, and I don't think it's solved that at all. I think it's a little better than most out there on the market to a certain degree, and we're going to test more. but I don't think it's solved the problem. And again, this points up the fact that 380 is just a marginal load to begin with. It's a marginal caliber for self-defense, and in a scenario with heavy clothing or heavy winter clothing and a large statured individual, it becomes very problematic indeed. Now, what about the rest of the season, the other 3 seasons, spring, summer, fall? It's actually probably a pretty good round from that standpoint. I think you would get pretty good penetration through light clothing or no clothing, somebody that's not wearing a shirt, just have a t-shirt or a light jacket on or something like that. I think you would do pretty well, but you're still down on energy. I mean, only 209 foot-pounds, assuming that it actually makes its advertised velocity, and who knows what barrel length Federal tested it out of. If you happen to know, go down in the comments and let us know what's the barrel length they used to test it. So our overall rating on this bullet is it is a fail, potentially maybe marginally okay. So it's failure to marginal for winter carry, and we think it's probably marginal to good for carry in the other 3 seasons, which is basically where you're at with 380. Thank you so much for taking your valuable time to spend here with us at the LocaCarnivore. We really do appreciate it. And we want to leave you with 2 final thoughts. First, the ultimate act of resistance is insisting upon facts. Second, Han shot first.